Hans Jenny has shown with his films that particular tones, one tone in particular, when vibrating sand which has been placed on a metal plate, can change the shape of the sand. It will take form into particular mandalas or shapes. And then when the tone is played louder or higher, another frequency is played, the shape changes. Now, if this happens with matter as simple as sand and powders, what's happening to us at the molecular level when a single tone is played at the body? That the drone or the single tone, when directed toward a specific place in the body, can change the structure within the tissue, within the molecules.
What you see with the work of Hans Jenny is you see sound transforming heaps and piles and films of inanimate matter, of materials of various forms and consistencies, just by the introduction of sound, taking on, in a process of gradual differentiation, all the patterns and forms that we see around us in nature, as if it's like a model of the creation through sound. Many traditions have this understanding that the world as we know it comes into being and is sustained in its beingness through sound, whether it's the Om in the Hindu tradition, or the word, or the Logos in the Western tradition.
There are these expressions. First there was the word, and the word was made into flesh, or hallowed be thy name. Everywhere you find these references, not just in the ancient Vedic traditions, all over in all the traditions of the world.
You have this idea that the very first anything is a sonorous event which brings about the transformation of spirit into matter.
You think of this huge ocean of silence interacting with itself. When the silence is broken, what else could you get but sound? And that sound then manifests as the whole. So that's the cosmic hum, or the cosmic explosion, or the Big Bang, as you call it. But you know, there's different ways of expressing the same idea, that sound creates form. In India, as you know, there's this whole tradition of mantra healing, for example, or primordial sound. And here there are sounds that are taken that elicit very specific forms. If I make the sound A, after a while it will vibrate every cell in my body. Similarly, the other vowel sounds. Then there are other sounds that will bounce off specific organs more than anything else. For example, the sound it will vibrate more in the ears. The sound ka, ga, gha will vibrate here more than anything anywhere else. The sound ha will vibrate more in the stomach. The sound ma will vibrate more in the sinus cavities. Just the simple, well-known primordial sound known as Om. Anytime you make that sound in front of a drop of oil, for example, or a drop of water, it will manifest into a distinct form known as the Shri Yantra.
The human voice can also be made visible with a simple apparatus. The various vowels show typical characteristics depending on the nature of their sound. We can see the spectrum, as it were, of the sounds.
If you impose vibrations on plates of sand and so on, you get patterns of form appearing. The forms in nature are not due to vibrations being imposed from outside on passive particles. They're owing to the whole vibratory structure of activity which makes up the particle itself. Atoms are vibratory structures of activity. Molecules are vibratory structures of activity. Crystals are. Now, in the case of a living organism, the whole thing is a complex rhythmic structure or pattern of activity. In our own case, We know, for example, we have daily cycles of activity, slow rhythms. Women have monthly cycles. We have the breathing cycles, the heartbeat cycles, shorter cycles. We have then more rapid cycles of activity in the brain revealed by electroencephalographs and so on. And then within our cells we have biochemical cycles, many of them per second. And then within those biochemical cycles, vibratory patterns in the proteins, very fast vibrations there, and then the vibrations within the atoms inside those. So there's a nested hierarchy of vibrations within vibrations. At every level, there's a structure of activity which is vibratory or rhythmic.